Hello, and welcome to Running a Small Building Firm, a podcast brought to you by the HBXL Group for residential building firms, working on renovations, extensions, loft conversions, and new builds. We discuss everything from money and marketing to competitors and contracts. Here, we share advice and best practice, and plenty more. So welcome.
So hello there, I'm Joanna Mulgrew and I'm Managing Director of the HBXL Group of software and services companies. And in this episode today of Running a Small Building Firm, I'm really pleased to have Kevin Morgan back in the hot seat. Kevin is the Commercial Director of Crystal Direct, who are a leading manufacturer of PVC windows and doors, and also aluminium bifolds and roof lanterns as well, to boot. They've been in the building industry for a very long time, and obviously Kevin has as well, and he's got a wealth of knowledge to share about this area of the industry, which is a good thing, because I'm not going to lie, this is a subject area that I'm no expert in. So I'm very pleased to have Kevin here today to share his insight and educate me as well on the subject.
So,
hi Kevin, thanks for being here. So one of the reasons I wanted to set up this conversation is because builders have been telling our team over the phone, so HBXL staff, that homeowners are increasingly talking about sustainability and energy efficiency in the projects that they're considering. Probably not in so many words. It's probably more around saving money and improving the kind of the comfort level of their house, warmth and what have you. And it's not surprising with, costs as they are. The problem is obviously, not everybody has all those answers, but builders certainly, don't necessarily. I guess that we all know, it's kind of common sense, I guess, but doors and windows have got an essential role to play in the performance of, the property, heat in, drafts out, etc. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit more today to go deeper on that, a bit more technical perhaps. So I can learn a thing or two, Kevin. So hopefully by the end of today's session, the builders listening will have a bit of ammunition to impress their clients, give them the products that they need to serve the property well into the future. So perhaps we could start, Kevin, with the assumption that nobody knows anything about energy efficiency when it comes to PVCU. I know you're an expert, talking earlier as well. Tell me, say again. I'm not following. So could you just give us, as a kind of a 101, the rundown of the key benefits of PVCU then, please?
Yeah, and hi Joe, and thanks again for inviting me on. Really pleased to be here. I think you've just touched on it really. So the key benefits are really simple. It's about what we call thermal bridge. So the fabric of the building, if you like, where you've got a door or a window, there's a potential to lose energy and heat. Thermal transmission, better known as U value. The lower the U value, the better the payback will be, and that's measured in meters squared loss, but no need to get really too technical on that, just the lower the U value, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a second, how that works with the future home model for 2025. And you'll also see things like an energy rating, so an A triple plus down to D. Again, those are that's just a standard that might be applied by CERTAS or a British standard certification. Both essentially will mean that you're gonna, from a building perspective, that you're gonna bridge that thermal gap, and for the homeowner or the end user, they're gonna save on their heating and they're gonna improve their carbon footprint at the end of the day. So that's really the key benefits there.
Okay. So we're hearing a lot about the future home standard. So that's coming into effect in 2025. What should the builder know about that standard? and excuse me, I've got a funny throat today, Kevin. And what should they be saying to their customers? I keep reading, for example, about fabric first, for instance.
Yeah, so fabric first. I mean, the future home standard basically is to ensure that all new builds and extensions are future proof. So this will mean using low carbon heating, you'll be familiar with heat pumps and all of that type of thing. World-class energy efficiency. So it's about, taking a step forward and creating an environment that uses less energy and again reduces your overall carbon footprint. The U values currently are 1.4, so it's generally not perceived. What's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be less than 1.
Oh, okay.
So that's the general sort of. But the government's always shifting, isn't it? And there's been as we know, there's been a renege on the cars for the battery cars, isn't it? There was going to be 2030, it's now 2035.
Yeah.
So it's always changing. But basically, in terms of the fabric first element, there's kind of half a dozen things that go into that. It basically talks about thermal mass, maximizing air tightness, overheating prevention, natural ventilation, overheating prevention, as I said, and minimum standard U values. So windows and doors is definitely a big part of the fabric first. If you think about, like I said right at the beginning, if you think about where you would lose heat, it's going to be through your windows and doors. That's where the draft is. So 100%, from a software perspective, from an extension, from a building perspective, you have to be really thinking about your windows and doors and the U value that you're going to get.
So were you saying then as well? I didn't quite catch it. So the U value's been less than 1 is for is part of the 2025 Future Home Standard currently.
Yeah, I think it'll be 0.8. That's where all the indicators are pointing.
Yeah.
So we currently already. I mean, I'll talk about it in a second, but we're currently already thinking and looking around corners for that. And there's different things that you can do in terms of the fabric of the actual window and door itself, in terms of the glass and the system. Yeah.
Okay. And did I also note that you said that this was for home extensions as well?
Yeah.
Future Home Standard. Okay.
Yeah. So any type of new build or extension will be affected by the Future Home Plan.
Yeah. And I'm probably putting you on the spot here, but just thinking out loud, do you know anything about how that might impact kind of the renovation work and window replacement, door and window replacement? Do you know? Or is that's not defined within Future Homes?
I think in terms of replacement, it's not going to be. You've got other things to think about there as well, haven't you? In terms of it might be impacted by the age of the house, in keeping with the property, and so on and so forth. So it's just going to be for new builds and extensions. So wherever you're putting something new in, you'll have to be thinking about those energy efficient, not just windows and doors, but again, back to that fabric first. Everything is about the U value, and it'll be so you'll be able to make I think we talked about this on the previous cast we did. You'll be able to compensate. So if you've got a lower U value window and door that you want to put in, then you'll have to make up for that in terms of other parts of that fabric.
Okay. That makes sense. And obviously new homes and home extensions kind of converged much closer on building regs in 2023, or that transition period from 22 to 23. So I guess the Future Home Standards is simply that an extension, excuse the pun, of that approach. Okay, so I guess that means that you're having to look at new glass and profile technologies, does it, to meet those standards? Are there any innovations that people need to be aware of that are coming down the line?
Yeah, so as you know, there's two main parts that make up of a window, a PVC window and door, glass and the system itself. So we look at glass. We've just a whole range now comes with a triple glaze option. So 35% better in terms of heat retention, and you actually get the benefit of acoustic reduction, so less noise, less heat loss, and also increased security, believe it or not, because it's much more difficult to break in. So triple glazed glass is probably the innovation there. In terms of the system itself, we use a system made by Aliplas, which has a technology called Ecotech as part of its makeup, as part of its own makeup. There's a sustainability angle there because the central core element is actually made of recycled material.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so it goes through a dual dye in the manufacturing process, which means the central part and the chambers where all of the good work is done in terms of the heat retention and the U value is recycled material, and the outer is what they call virgin PVC, and so you get that really beautiful, finish. And at the same time, and it in itself can be recycled 5 times, which I'm told, it's about 150 years worth of sustainable product there. Because people are concerned about plastic, aren't they?
Oh God, yes, yes.
So again, when you're talking to the end user, the customer, and you're able to say, look, this is a sustainable product. It's got the recycle element in it. You've got the option for triple glaze. As a builder, you're offering the consumer a full package of options, aren't you? And you're saying,
Yeah.
look, I can help you with your carbon footprint as well as meet all of these guidelines that we need to.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's, not putting in the cheapest option here is really important in terms of the sustainability of the window. I must admit, considering I've known what PVCU stands for the longest time, I've never really considered them from a sustainability angle. You hear a lot about it from solar panels and how long are they going to last and when do they need recycling and that kind of thing. But I've for some reason I've never really considered it in terms of the PVC. So that's really good to know. I think. There's some really good just on that, Joe. There's some really good you can see online. There's I don't know if it's Certas, it might be the GGF, the Glazing Federation site, but you've got a really good demonstration of thermal loss, and where you can see like the heat map of a whole house, and you can see the heat loss through the windows and doors. It's really quite interesting. Yeah, I'd recommend if you. So I think I guess it's more important than ever to have the right manufacturer behind that process, because I can imagine that there could be some quite dodgily produced PVCU doors and windows. I'm not saying
dodgy windows and doors. What are you talking?
Sorry, I shouldn't have put those
double glazing.
yeah,
no.
But you know what I'm saying? That they could well be, and and if the jointing isn't correct, and you haven't got the right I don't know what you call it, the inner tell me again.
Chambers.
Yeah. If that's not all produced properly, you could end up with quite some issues, and you hear about them going blowing.
No, you're right, and people don't talk about that very often as well. But for the vast majority of our windows over a certain size, they're all steel reinforced as well.
Oh, okay.
So when you're talking about security, it's important to people. The security and the makeup, and the windows and doors that Crystal produce. I'm bound to say it, but are really world class. In terms of those chambers, the steel, and that sustainability element. You've really got it all.
Yes, yeah. So one of the things I was going to say before was when you were talking about the triple glazing and the acoustic properties. So I was talking with somebody at a university that HBXL are looking to partner with on an R&D, so a research and development project. And as part of that conversation, we were talking about sound and how I think they would quote, don't quote me on this because I don't have the research paper to back it up. So you're not going to find, listeners, that there's a quote to exactly who said this. But on the call, they were talking about something like 50% of UK homes have got what's the word I'm looking? I'm doing the same as you now. I'm thinking about the word I'm looking for. It was in terms of the sound levels of the
noise pollution.
The noise pollution, and it was like something like 50% of the population are living in a level of noise pollution which is detrimental to mental health. you know, that as humans, as animals, we're not meant to be kind of exposed long term to certain noise levels, and above a certain level it creates quite a lot of kind of anxiety and mental health issues, because you have cortisol, you know, going around your body. Yeah, and I've never really you know, thought about that particularly, because I've been lucky enough to be in, you know, kind of either semi-detached or detached houses. But I think it's really important to be, you know, thinking about especially if it's multi person kind of occupancy or social housing, that kind of thing, where you're really looking at something important as the acoustic properties of the windows as well. It's beyond just the thermal. It's actually about the kind of the comfort level, and actually the mental health ultimately of the occupants as well, which I thought was really interesting.
Well, no, you're right.
A lot of research been done into that.
There is, and I know the Highways Agency have a specific scheme for homeowners that you can apply to. One of our partners installs for the Highways Agency as part of a rollout. So if you're near, you're near trunk roads and so on and so forth, if it's an older house, then you can get a grant for that. But also, you know, like I remember a study that was done with triple glaze over Windsor on the flight path to Heathrow, you know, and you literally you couldn't hear it. You couldn't hear the aeroplanes once the triple glaze had gone in, and quite astonishing, really. And when you think, and I was talking earlier about probably a 35% impact in addition to double glazing, on top of double glazing, you know, in terms of its thermal loss. And it isn't that much more expensive, you know, 10-20% more expensive to choose a triple glaze option. So if again, if you're in the construction industry and you're talking to the end user, you know, and we'll probably talk about next in terms of payback, it's relatively short amount of time, particularly now with the, you know, the rise of energy.
Okay, so I was literally, you've read my mind, because I was going to say, yeah, I mean, all this stuff that we've just talked about sounds absolutely fantastic, but presumably it could be kind of costly when it comes to save, you know, for a homeowner to save money. But I think what you're saying is that it comes back to the long-term gain and gain of the homeowner. So I was going to say, so what would you be the biggest argument then for builders to suggest they use in discussions with their customer?
Well, I think it sells itself, to be honest, Joe. You know, if you're in a position where you've got to pay for these products anyway, you know, if you look at the choice that we're offering, if you look at the additional cost, excuse me, for triple glazing, it's a modest amount. And you look at, everyone's talking about net zero, aren't they? And more and more, I hear more and more from the trade that the end user is more conscious of it than they were, you know, not even a decade ago. You know, when we were talking about, crikey, the government was talking about the Green Deal in 2015. But nowadays, you know, because we've been through the pandemic, because we are, you know, we're not completely self-sufficient, are we, in terms of our own energy production? The awareness has just gone through the roof. So I think, you know, people do want to make a conscious change or try to have an impact. So I think, you know, you're just offering the end user the choice, aren't you? And you're saying, look, you know, not only are you going to reduce your own carbon footprint, you're going to reduce your energy bills, and over the lifetime of the length of the property and the extension, you know, you pay back within a few years the additional cost for just say triple glazing, you know.
Just looping back to that conversation I was having with the research and development project, and talking to Innovate UK, who's one of the kind of the funding bodies for some of the kind of latest innovation here in the UK, not just in digital and software, you know, for the likes of HBXL, but just in general terms. And what they were saying was that they're actually looking to move the discussion on from kind of it just being a you know, greenwash, if you like, which I think has some things like the Green Deal didn't land properly, I guess, in terms of a message to homeowners and to, you know, to the wider kind of community. but more about comfort for the homeowner. It's more about comfort, as we were saying about, so obviously, yeah, the temperature of the of the space that they're living in, that might be even working in now. I mean, after all, loads of us are working at home as well as maybe sometimes in the office, but we're spending a lot more time in our properties. Also about the kind of the breathability of the building and the air quality, you know, so all those innovations, I guess you've got ways of dealing with that within the doors and windows, I guess, from a perspective of airflow. And sound, as we've just spent quite a while talking about. So all of those things, it's not just our carbon footprint. You put all those things together and, you know, going with the approach that we've been talking about, I guess, impacts the comfort for the homeowner. And I think that probably sells everything, as well as, you know, the kind of sustainability credentials as well. You know, after all, everyone wants a comfortable living environment, and they'll go for, you know, the top end if they can when it comes to comfort. They might not if it's coming just purely from the green angle, dare I say, you know, because people think, well, I can't necessarily afford or stretch to that.
I think you're right. I think the industry anyway will have to adapt to include all of those things as part of the product, won't it? You know, that's where we're going, you know, regardless of, it won't be a choice, you know, from 2025, any new build, you have to have those certain elements as part of your purchase anyway. You know, the expression win-win comes to my mind when you were just talking there, you know, because if you are going to have it's not just, it's how it looks as well, isn't it? You know, if you've got a nice new composite door, for example, you know, the thermal loss there, the security it gives you, again, peace of mind, and so it's all of those things, isn't it? And most people, you were just talking about people working from home. I read something, I think it was Wix, their annual update last week, and they were talking about the fact that they're doing quite well based on repair, improve, maintain people from a perspective of working from home. So, you know, they're actually sort of seeing they're seeing an increase in people wanting to improve but enhance the place that they're working as well as living.
Can I just, before we start to wrap up, I was just thinking about that word enhance there. And I think probably loads of people have got this kind of like UPVC white, old school kind of plastic look. But like, it's moved on loads, hasn't it, Kevin? I mean, tell me more, because I need some work done. So tell me about that before we wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can get any colour now. It's a bit like, you know, paint mixing. You know, obviously we apply all the RAL colours, so you can get any colour from crystal, certainly, standard white, obviously you can get within days. Trend at the moment is grey. Really, we're seeing that anthracite, so grey on white, so white internally. But as I say, you know, you can get pretty much any colour you want these days. Standard, there's an extension of about half a dozen normal colours. You know, you're talking about Cherwell green, a teak colour, that type of thing. Not really my type of thing, but you know, it's still popular. You'll get half a dozen of those that you can get in a normal lead time of a couple of weeks, and then outside of that, any colour you like.
That's really good to know, isn't it? Because I think some of us are more limited to what we're able to have through, you know, through planning and what we're, you know, the buildings around us.
From a heritage perspective, 100%, yeah.
Oh, that's good to know that there's more kind of using that. Yeah, that's a good word. That kind of heritage style kind of colours that you see, right? Cool. Okay. Well, you've given us some really useful intel, and thanks for that off the hoof question there from me. So just to finish then, what's your overall Crystal Direct's overall kind of position on sustainability then? I know we're talking about the doors and windows themselves, but you know, does Crystal have a perspective on this?
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely important to us. We recycle everything that we don't use from a PVC perspective, so that goes straight back into the cycle, as it were. So offcuts, anything we recycle. We've got a new fleet of energy efficient vehicles. Everything that we deliver is drop ship via our own fleet. And we just, although we don't have a set point in time for being net zero as a company, we're constantly striving towards that, and just in terms of that sustainable system that we've chosen, it is an example of that. So whether it's in the factory, whether it's about being conscious with our own energy use, the vehicles, the recycling of the product itself, of any waste. It's really important to us, Joe.
That cradle to grave, isn't it, as they say, in terms of how it's its whole life cycle.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for that. So that's exciting times. I think there's obviously going to be more coming as we head towards 2025, and no doubt Kevin will need to speak to you again as things move under us, as they no doubt will. Things always do. There's a change of government maybe coming, so
yes.
it might go in a different direction. But I guess one thing's for sure, obviously, the security of our buildings, the comfort of our buildings, the kind of our collective endeavour to get towards a net zero, I don't think will change overall. So I guess you're in a very good position there with everything you're doing. So thank you very much, Kevin, for your time, and for Crystal Direct joining us. Obviously a partner of HBXL, so you can find their products within Estimator Express, our estimating software, and also our estimating service use them as well. So to get in touch with Crystal about their products and services, there's a number you can call and an email address. So we'll put that in the notes of the video, but the number's 01462 489 900. I had to read that out and read it because my memory is like a sieve. I wouldn't have got that. So that's 01462 489 900. Or you can email Crystal Direct by quoting HBXL at crystal-direct.co.uk, and then that will land with their team, who'll know exactly where you've come from. So thanks again, Kevin, for joining us, and I think that's everything for today, but I've really enjoyed this conversation and hearing everything you guys are up to. All right.
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
Me too, Joe. Thanks very much, and speak to you soon.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
And if you'd like to see what positive changes you could make to your building firm, head over to hbxl.co.uk and take a look at HBXL's award-winning estimating, CAD and health and safety software, as well as our partner company initiatives. See you next time.